Good afternoon from the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. On behalf of the Bartlett Maritime Industry Team, I would like to welcome you to this panel discussion and press conference exploring why we've experienced multiple years of an inability to meet the operational demands for the attack submarine force due to extensive and endemic problems with major submarine maintenance capacity and infrastructure. Specifically, and much more importantly, this afternoon we will discuss the details of the only actionable solution to this problem that has been proposed. My name is Bob Hogue. I'm the founder and CEO of In-Depth Engineering, a company which provides shipboard combat systems and technical support services to the U.S. Navy. I am also a member of the Senior Advisory Board of the Bartlett Maritime Corporation. While I live now in Washington metropolitan area, I was born and grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Like many of us at Bartlett Maritime Corporation, I'm a Cold War attack submarine veteran, having served on both the USS Gate SSN 578, our nation's third nuclear-powered submarine, and on USS Sea Devil SSN 664. Our agenda today is as follows. First, I'll introduce our panel, followed by a brief presentation to outline the proposed Bartlett Maritime Plan. Our panel will then each provide remarks, followed by questions and answers. Joining us on our panel today, from your left to right, are Rear Admiral Robert Frick, USN retired. Admiral Frick's last position prior to his Navy retirement was Program Executive Officer, Submarines. In this position, he was responsible for all Navy submarine procurement and for the safety certification of all U.S. Navy submarines. He successfully delivered USS Seawolf SSN 21 to the fleet and coordinated the successful launch of the Virginia-class program. Earlier in his career, he commanded the USS Birmingham SSN 695 before serving as senior member of the Pacific Fleet Nuclear Propulsion Examining Board. Admiral Frick is currently Vice President, Planning at Bartlett Maritime Corporation. Next to Admiral Frick is Jack Deschauer, a senior partner at our outside counsel, Squire Patton Boggs. Prior to joining Squire Patton Boggs, Jack was a Cold War surface warfare officer before becoming a member of the U.S. Navy Judge Advocate General, or JAG Corps. In this position, prior to his Navy retirement, he served as Director of Senate Affairs for the Secretary of Defense. Assignments prior to that include Legislative Counsel for Navy Office of Legislative Affairs. Jack is our lead partner at Squire Patton Boggs. Mr. William Daly is next. He is Managing Director for Public Sector and Infrastructure Banking at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs has been retained by our subsidiary operating company, American Naval Shipyard, LLC, to advise the parties in developing our innovative and unique public-private partnership, which will provide the capital to build and equip the new ship maintenance facilities, which we will discuss this afternoon. Admiral Frank Bowman, USN retired, is next to Mr. Daly. Admiral Bowman is the third successor of the legendary Admiral Hyman Rickover as Director of the Navy Nuclear Propulsion Program. During the Cold War, he commanded the USS City of Corpus Christi, SSN 705, and USS Holland, AS-32. Following his Navy retirement, he served as President and CEO of the Nuclear Energy Institute. He has served on the Board of Directors for BP and is currently on the Board of Directors for Morgan Stanley Mutual Funds. When Ed Bartlett conceived this plan, one of his first steps was to visit Admiral Bowman, where, over one of their many crab cake lunches in Potomac, he first discussed this plan with Admiral Bowman, who was the original member of the Senior Advisory Board at Bartlett Maritime Corporation. Captain Edward Bartlett is next to Admiral Bowman. Captain Bartlett is also a Cold War submariner, having served on USS Bergall, SSN 667, USS La Jolla, SSN 701, where he is plank owner, USS Fulton, AS-11, and USS Gato, SSN 615. He also served as an instructor in the Navy Nuclear Power Training Program. After he left active duty, Captain Bartlett joined General Dynamics Electric Boat, where he served briefly as a nuclear construction engineer in the shipyard before joining the Seawolf class design engineering team. Later, as engineering manager, he led conceptual design studies for what evolved to become the Virginia-class submarine, a ship type still under construction today. A couple of his innovative design ideas distinguish this design. He left Electric Boat to rescue a financially failed ship equipment business and later transformed that now growing successful business into industry leader DRS Power Systems, a unit of Leonardo DRS. Captain Bartlett earned his captain and vessel master's license in the U.S. Merchant Marines. He is the founder and CEO of Bartlett Maritime Corporation. Next to Captain Bartlett is Mr. James Hart, National President of the Metal Trades Department, AFL-CIO. The Metal Trades Department is a trade department of the AFL-CIO. Chartered in 1908, this affiliation of 17 national and international unions represents more than 100,000 workers. Mr. Hart is the 9th president in the history of the Metal Trades Department, having started his career as a plumber in New York City at Plumbers Local No. 1, United Association, UA, Union. He worked his way through the leadership ranks both within the United Association Trade Union and the Metal Trades Council in New York State, and then nationally to achieve his current position. Finally, while his union office is only a few blocks away at the House of Labor, Mr. Hart is proud to be Brooklyn through and through. Mr. Lance Heasley is the 8th president of International Chemical Workers Union. We note his proud Northeast Ohio roots of this union, which was founded in Cleveland in September of 1944 and is now headquartered in nearby Akron. Mr. Heasley started his career working for Axial Chemical, now Westlake Chemical. Prior to being elected union president, Mr. Heasley had a very successful career as union organizer. He took 27 organizing campaigns to the National Labor Relations Board elections, winning 25. He has served in multiple union positions at the local and state level prior to his election as international president. Mr. Dario Desti is next. He is the president and CEO of Fincantieri Marine Group here in the United States. Fincantieri will build the ocean-going transit carriers, which you will hear about shortly. These facilitate the safe and stable transportation of submarines to and from the Great Lakes. Mr. Desti served as the Italian Navy pilot, as an Italian naval pilot. While still in the Italian Navy, he was selected to participate in the United States Naval Aviation Program, where he became a naval aviator, both helicopter and fixed-wing aircraft. In the private sector, he has worked for several major defense companies in Italy and abroad prior to joining Fincantieri. In his first U.S. assignment for Fincantieri, he served as CEO of Fincantieri Marine Systems North America, prior to his transfer to become chairman of Fincantieri Australia. Returning to the United States, he led Fincantieri Marine Group to a victory in winning the program to design and build the new Constitution-class frigate for the U.S. Navy at the company's Marionette Marine Shipyard in Marinette, Wisconsin. The Honorable Jack Bradley, Mayor of the City of Lorain, Ohio, is next to Mr. Desti. A veteran of the U.S. military, Mayor Bradley started his career as an elementary school teacher while attending law school. After practicing law in Lorain for 40 years, he was elected mayor of Lorain with the straightforward objective of making the citizens of Lorain proud to call Lorain home. Mayor Bradley is proud himself to have grown up in a union home and remains grateful to his father's union brothers for saving his father's life in responding to a tragic industrial accident which caused the loss of his father's arm. Finally, the Honorable Arno Hill serves as mayor of the village of Lordstown, Ohio, a lifetime resident of Trumbull County, Ohio. Mayor Hill is a retired union toolmaker from Packard Electric. During his tenure as mayor, he has been focused on economic development in the village. Among his successors, he counts attracting TJX Corporation, which recently built a 1.2 million square foot distribution center in Lordstown for its home goods stores. The new home goods distribution center opened about a year and a half ago and has about 1,000 union employees. So that is our panel for today. We will start with a brief presentation by Captain Bartlett, followed by comments by each panel member. Once this is complete, we'll open to press questions. The presentation that Captain Bartlett will now discuss is available at the company website, bartlettmaritime.com. In addition, copies of the letters which he will discuss are available here in the room and in the copy of the presentation on the website. Finally, a copy of this live stream will be posted at the website later today. Now, Captain Bartlett.
Thank you, Bob. The Bartlett Maritime team is pleased to be here today to share with you our vision for the solution to this pernicious submarine maintenance crisis. The maintenance crisis has been going on in submarine force for a number of years, over a decade, and the facts and the information about it have been publicly available for a while. And everybody, I think, is in the industry anyways, has heard the story of the ships that have been tied up long overdue an overhaul. I'd like to take a little bit out of today's headlines and update the information that's shown on the slide here and tell you a story about what's going on right now, today, in the submarine force. As we speak, there are 2 American attack submarines in the Arctic conducting what's known as ICEX-22. The USS Pasadena, a 33-year-old Los Angeles-class submarine, and the USS Illinois, a 6-year-old Virginia-class submarine. This is an exercise, but it's much more than an exercise. It's an annual strategic message to the world and any potential adversaries that there are no restrictions on where the United States Navy can operate its submarines. And so the free and open operation of these ships in the Arctic is a very important evolution every year. The Pasadena, the older ship that's involved this year, fortunately was able to attend this year, having completed its 6-month overhaul, and it only took 13 months to complete last fall. Submarine maintenance is a problem at every level of the submarine force, from the wardrooms to the chief's quarters, to the operators, to the shipyard, to the workers, everybody, and then to the strategic impact of what's going on. It's a big problem, it needs to be solved, and no one else has come up with a solution. We'd like to talk to you about ours today. Our solution today, we're going to talk to you about, is the construction and then operation of 2 facilities to be located in Ohio, which I'll talk about in a moment. The first facility on the left is called the Lordstown American Naval Depot. It will do equipment maintenance for equipment removed from submarines and aircraft carriers at all 5, there will be 5 when we're done, of the naval shipyards, in order to accelerate the work being done at all of the naval shipyards, not just the one that we intend to build in Lorain, Ohio. It will be anywhere from 700,000 to 1 million plus square feet. We've selected a location in the village of Lordstown. The village of Lordstown has been exceptionally accommodating and attractive to us, and we feel very comfortable there. It's a transportation hub. It's connected to the rails on both CSX and Norfolk Southern, and it's well connected on the interstates. Adjacent to that, on this slide, is a photo of a submarine inside a building. We're going to build American Naval Shipyard in Lorain, Ohio, which is, Lordstown is east of Cleveland, Lorain is west of Cleveland. Lorain is on the Black River, and we've selected a site. I'm not ready to announce it yet, but the shipyard will be completely enclosed. It will be a transformational shipyard in the way we intend to build it, with 2 super dry docks inside, and the entire operation will be inside a single building in order to take climate and weather issues out of the whole package, and to exercise lean manufacturing principles, and to make this as optimally and efficiently designed as possible. That's the vision. Why Ohio? There are only 2 simple reasons for Ohio, and they're both compelling. First, when we set out to solve this problem, we recognized that in the current federal budget environment, there's not a lot of money around to solve problems like this. In fact, the 4 naval shipyards that exist, Portsmouth, Norfolk, Puget Sound, and Pearl Harbor, 2 of those shipyards actually were in existence prior to the formation of the United States. The capital equipment in those shipyards has been significantly run down due to lack of investment and reinvestment in the shipyards. The Navy's created a program, the acronym for it is called SIOP, Shipyard Infrastructure Optimization Plan. It's a $20+ billion effort planned to be taken over 20 years. The most visible action going on right now in it is dry dock number 1 at Portsmouth Naval Shipyard is being completely rebuilt and enlarged and improved in order to improve the utility of that dry dock. And that's a major investment in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on the range of a couple $2 billion. Those kind of investments are ongoing. At the same time, the nation is building the new Columbia-class submarine to replace our strategic submarines, the Ohio-class, which is aged out. Those were built in the 70s and 80s. And with the budget situation as it is, we had to do this in a way that was budget neutral to the Navy, the federal government. We came up with an innovative public-private partnership between the state of Ohio, our company, and the federal government using existing laws and regulations. No legislation is required to do this. That'll allow us, with a partnership with our friends at Goldman Sachs, who you'll hear from in a few moments, to be able to create this public-private partnership and use the capital markets to fund this. Eventually, properties will be owned by the U.S. Navy. Excuse me, I should have not gone ahead. The other reason for Ohio is people. If you're involved with the shipyard industry along the ocean coasts today, you'll recognize that there's a significant challenge in retaining particularly skilled trades employees. And my union friends will talk about that more, and it's a challenge. If you're on the ocean coasts, and you have an executive at the Naval Sea Systems Command actually characterized it to me this way a couple years ago. If you live on the ocean coasts, you have the aptitude, the interest, and can pass the security check, you're already working in a shipyard. There's really no ready labor pool. Unfortunately, due to factory closures, steel mills, auto plants, shipyards along the, in the greater Midwest, along the north coast of the United States at Lake Erie in particular, we've got an abundance of available people that are either underemployed or unemployed. And the mayors will both talk to you about that. But I can tell you from my own personal experience, since we've been public with this for the last 6 weeks, my inbox is full every day with people saying, when can I apply for a job? When can I come to work for you? There is an abundant pool of people ready and willing to work hard. These are hard, technically demanding jobs, but the people are there ready to do it. So we've got a ready labor force. We've got the capital to do the job. That's why Ohio. The public-private partnership is outlined on this chart, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's basically industrial revenue bonds in the state of Ohio will fund us to build the buildings and equip them, and then the U.S. Navy will lease purchase them over a period of 30 years from us. And so lots of regulations, lots of requirements, which is why we've hired world standard investment bankers to assist us with this transaction. We talked already about the skilled trades labor crisis. You don't have to go very far and look in the job wanted ads. Electric Boat, which a couple of us on our team actually used to work at, including me, hired this year, actually advertised in New England during the Super Bowl for skilled trades employees. And they say, come down any day of the week and apply. It's a shortage of labor. We look at the Navy's maintenance capability for submarines, and we've put it in a pie chart format. The Navy has 18 dry docks, and when we made this chart, 10 of them were in good shape, 8 of them needed work, such as Dry Dock 1 at Portsmouth, which is currently under work, Dry Dock 2 at Norfolk, which I think the work has been completed on. But the bottom line is there's 18 of them, and eventually SIOP will take care of upgrading all those dry docks to current standards. The problem is it's not enough. There's a couple more dry docks required. We have 47 attack submarines in the fleet today. We're having difficulty providing maintenance to those ships. If you read the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal yesterday, you read about this. We can't maintain the submarines we've got, and yet we want to go from 47 to 70. We've got to have more repair capacity, and that's what we're about providing. So our plan provides the depot, which provides an acceleration of the work at all the naval shipyards, and then the 2 additional dry docks at the new shipyard. It's not just us saying this. The variety of third-party agencies have come up with the same analysis. They include ranging from the Heritage Foundation to the General Accountability Office to the Congressional Budget Office, whose report we cite on this slide. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the Navy has basically 2 choices. Either could decommission some submarines or build some more maintenance capacity, because for the next 30 years, which is as far as you can forecast, they don't have enough capacity in the naval shipyards. And it's a known and well understood problem. The problem with our site in Ohio, we have the money, we have the people, but modern, and we built submarines in the Great Lakes during World War II, I'll talk about in a moment, but the modern submarines draft exceeds what's possible in the St. Lawrence Seaway, which is only 26 feet in fresh water. Modern American submarines have a deeper draft than that. So in order to lift the submarine up a couple feet and provide a secure cocoon for transit through the many locks of the St. Lawrence Seaway, a 7-day transit from Connecticut to Lorraine, we're partnering with our friends at Fincantieri and their Bay Shipbuilding Shipyard in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, to adapt a vessel type known as an articulated tug barge to be an ocean-going transit carrier for these submarines. The submarine enters the carrier, we lift the submarine up a little bit, it's still 80% supported on its own buoyancy, and we drive it up through the seaway with the transit carrier. And this is an overview of the transit carrier, and then this is a picture of Fincantieri's wonderful shipyard in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. And as you can see, there's a completed ATB at the dock and another ATB, which you can see in the bottom right of the picture, excuse me, with a tank top not on yet. That's kind of what ours is going to look like, except instead of the notch at the back, ours will be open because we'll be sliding the submarine in and out. It's a very conventional solution, and in fact, today, at both Portsmouth, New Hampshire, prior to the Dry Dock 1 issue, and out at Pearl Harbor, prior to the work that's not yet started to correct Dry Dock 3 out there, we use buoyancy assist to take submarines in and out of dry dock routinely today. This is just a longer time with a little bit different kind of buoyancy assist. Our company was formed specifically to address this problem in February of 2019. We've been very successful and doing some international shipyard consulting work. We've reinvested all those proceeds back into this project. It's been a multi-million-dollar, completely speculative investment on our part. Bob already gave you my biography, and you know, the greatest thing that I've done in my career is assemble this team of great people. Of the team, Admiral Bowman and Admiral Frick are on the panel, and you'll hear from them. We have four other members of the team in the room. I want to just take a moment and recognize them. Captain David McCall was the first commanding officer of the USS Seawolf, and he's our Vice President of Test and Trials. Master Chief Robert Elwood, who's in the back, was on the commissioning crew of the first 3 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, and he's a manager of our planning group working for Admiral Frick. And then two special recognitions. Stuart Dye, our General Counsel, and Rod Thompson, who's our Chief Financial Officer for American Naval Shipyard. Stuart, Rod, and I have been kind of a trio for about a decade working on projects like this. And as Augie Tellez, our friend from the Seafarers Union, recalls, along with others from the union, we made a valiant effort to save Avondale Shipyard some years ago. Was unfortunately not successful, but clearly, I think, set the stage for what we're doing today. And both Stuart and Rod are deeply involved in this project going forward, and I certainly appreciate their collegial collaboration over the last decade plus. And as you look at the chart, you know, we've got a former Assistant Secretary of the Navy, we've got great people, Bob Hogue, just an incredibly powerful team. The one thing I'll leave you with note this team. This has been all over social media, as you may imagine, and people have been commenting this and that and whatever. And the one comment that stuck with me is, you got to pay attention to these guys, because this team is a bunch of serious heavy hitters. That's my team, and I'm really proud to have brought them together. Our industry team includes the companies that are on the stage with us, plus Lorain County Community College, and also Lincoln Electric welding team. We'll be doing our apprentice school at the Lorain County Community College using the Lincoln Electric welding training program. And the other companies you'll hear about when they make their remarks. There have been multiple endorsements to our project. For those of you in the room, you can pick up copies of the letters at the back of the room. For those of you that are online, at the end of this presentation, which is already posted on the website, there are copies of the letters. But it's interesting, in today's Washington, to get a bicameral, bipartisan letter of support for any project is really amazing. Senator Portman, Senator Brown, Congresswoman Chantel Brown, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, and Congressman Tim Ryan all have endorsed this project in a letter to the Secretary of the Navy that you can read in the package, as well as the City of Lorraine, City Council, and the Village of Elyria, their township trustees. And you can read that. And of course, our good friends in the union next to me, and you'll hear from them today. Our project has been ongoing for over 3 years now. We're at the point of maturity. We expect to be awarded a Phase 1 contract from the government any time now. Any day they could award us a contract. Perhaps this afternoon, we'll see. The Phase 1 effort is a 6-month effort to complete the detailed planning in order to put this all in place, to work with Golden, to work with the state, to work with the Navy, and to work with all the involved constituents, the village and the city, to lay out exactly what each facility is going to have, what it's going to be, and then lay out the financing plan. And then also during this period, we're going to hire and train 30 apprentice welder candidates to prove that our training program works. On the top right on that view graph is a picture of the chart for Lorraine Harbor, and the bottom right is a view from one of the map programs of the village of Lordstown. Beautiful places. I can tell you that since we've been public, we've gotten a lot of input from a lot of different construction companies and design companies, and I can tell you that we've been actively involved virtually every day. The team has been working to interview various contractors, and we can tell you today our selections are starting to firm up. We've made no firm selections yet, but we're looking at a mix of national talent as well as local talent to bring these two facilities into being. Make sure we meet all the requirements of the Navy and U.S. government, but also make sure that we bring the union, or bring the local companies all and give them an opportunity as well. And I can tell you that a requirement of all of our subcontracts will be 100% union labor. One final note, and this is a very important note, we are not in competition with the other 4 naval shipyards. We are not in competition with General Dynamics or Huntington Ingalls at their 2 nuclear construction shipyards. We intend, in fact, to collaborate with them. We spent, our executive team spent an hour on a Zoom call last week, in fact, with one of the nuclear shipyards, answering their questions and talking to them about how we can work together and support each other as we become part of the submarine industrial base. Our objective is to be a trusted agent for the U.S. Navy to solve this pernicious submarine maintenance problem. Just a comparison, then and now. The last time the nation had its back to the wall in World War II, we built 6,000 vessels in this country in less than 4 years. Of those submarines that were built, 28 of them, I think the number is, were built in Marinette, Wisconsin, the shipyard that no longer exists. Avondale Shipyard was created as part of this whole effort. We wish that it still existed today. We're going to need to build another shipyard to take care of this problem. So as we sit today, we've got problems with our maintenance, and yet on the other side of the globe, China, according to Congressional Research Service, is actively building 2 submarine shipyards right now. They've already got a larger fleet than us. Yes, nothing can beat the sophistication of an American attack submarine, but we can't sit on our hands. We've got to make these ships available. They might be great, but if they're not maintained and they're stuck at the pier, they're useless. So working together with the U.S. Navy, we intend to deliver success. And as our good friend Admiral John Greenert, former Chief Naval Operations, points out, you can have all the ships in the world you want. It's how many you have that are available for deployment and are combat ready. And with that, I'll go to Admiral Frick for comments.
Thank you, Ed. The Bartlett Maritime Plan is a very timely and sophisticated solution and answer to what we have today, which is a national security crisis. Everybody in the world knows what's happening with Russia, Ukraine. China's a little more quiet, but they're doing as much in the areas that they want. Our fast attack submarine force and our aircraft carriers are this nation's most effective tactical power projection weapon systems for the sustainment of peace in this time of crisis. And now with the Chinese and our friend Mr. Putin, it's even worse. The current and future superiority of our submarines, of our submarine commanding officers, of the men and women who are deployed and operate those ships is at risk by unnecessary delays in the maintenance of submarines. The Navy's reported over the past 4 years, they've lost 7,000 operating days due to maintenance delays. The Cold War never ended in 1990. I was in the middle of it. We know all about it, Admiral Bowman as well. And now it's back in full force with potentially greater force for the peace of this world. We must resolve this manufacturing and infrastructure and operational readiness as rapidly as possible. The Bartlett Maritime Plan is the only plan that will provide the most rapid and effective solution to our national challenge. Thank you.
Jack?
Thank you, Ed. Squire Patton Boggs is honored to be part of the Bartlett Maritime team. The Patton Boggs heritage is DC, but the Squire heritage is 130 years of practicing law in Cleveland. And I'll leave it at that because basically we're just handling the boring paperwork.
It's more than that.
And I'm probably the last person anyone wants to hear from the banker in the group. But I'm Bill Daly at Goldman Sachs. I think to echo what Jack said, we're very pleased to be part of this team. I think I'm in our public sector and infrastructure group. We've worked on a number of public-private partnerships around the country. And this is one of the more exciting ones. I think just a few things that really, just to summarize, I guess, the essentiality of the project, the team, and I think we're very proud to be part of this team, and then the impact that it'll have. And I think on all three of those things, when you look at public-private partnerships in this country, those are very important items, and this project obviously hits on all three of those. So we look forward to the project and digging into the numbers and advising the team.
Just very quickly, based on my 38 years of active service in the Navy, especially the last 3 tours as on the Joint Staff, the Chief of Naval Personnel, and as the Director of Naval Nuclear Propulsion, that is the Rickover legacy that you heard a little bit about earlier, I think it's right to say that this country has never had the inventory of submarines that are demanded by the combatant commanders, by the warfighters. We've never had the numbers just in the inventory. Exacerbating that situation, of course, is what you've heard about already today. That is this well documented by the Government Accountability Office, by the CRS, Congressional Research Service, the Congressional Budget Office, this problem that we have been facing for a decade now of inability to get our submarines in and out of overhaul. There are horror stories, submarines coming in for what was anticipated to be 14 months or so, extending out to 4 or 5 years. So in addition to not having the inventory that our combatant commanders of all services are calling for, that situation is grossly exacerbated by the inability to get the ones that we do have back on the line and out into the areas of responsibility. So it is a problem. But as Bob Hogue said in the introduction, more importantly than the problem is a solution. There are precious few ideas out there that make any sense. Reordering the deck chairs on the deck aren't going to feed the dog, and that's what we're hearing in a lot of quarters. This is, as Ed Bartlett has said, this is the only actionable plan that is available. It's going to take some doing, there's no doubt about it, but it is a big deal for the security of this country. Look at the great power competition. Look at what Putin is doing. Look at China. Who knows where they're going to come from next? Suffice it to say, we're not meeting the combatant commander's requirements, and even with the inventory, if we didn't have the maintenance problem, we still wouldn't be meeting it. Now, let me take another little tack on this. I said Chief of Naval Personnel. I did that for 2 years, Chief of Naval Personnel. Imagine the crews who have been mired in these overhauls. Imagine seeing their careers fleeting past. The commanding officer of the submarines that have been extended, the junior officers, the enlisted personnel on board, anticipating meeting their next career milestones. Instead, what they're seeing is that they're sitting in a shipyard day after day after day. Not fair. So we need to do something, and this is a plan to be that something.
Good afternoon, everyone. America is at an inflection point. We have many, many challenges. We have been the world's dominant maritime power throughout time immemorial. Truth be known, everything that developed in America came because of our maritime prowess and our ability to move goods and people. If we were to look at the situation that we face today throughout the world, America is looking at a manufacturing base that has been decimated. The footprint is continuously diminishing. So much so that when we go to build big structures, whether they be bridges that are going to be needed for this infrastructure plan or all the other work that we've been doing, what has happened? We had to go to foreign nations for the fabrication. We were not able to fabricate in this nation the Bay City twin bridges. Okay, we had to go to China for that. And same thing with bridges in New York that were replaced, the Goethals and the other one escapes me. But the point is that manufacturing is decimated. Our maritime strength is being devalued every day. 80% of American shipbuilding is through the Navy. The rest of it is our Merchant and Jones Act fleet. If we went to conflict today, and it's been witnessed, if you notice, America is the only person when we have a war, we have to tell them, okay, wait for a month and then we'll be there, because we have to figure out a way to get there. We can't build that iron bridge like we used to with our maritime assets to get to any part of the world. And hence our submarine force is what sustains us and keeps us as a true power broker. In order to deal with the challenges that we have in this country, labor has developed a team, the metal trades. A metal trades team, very well represented in this room, from our brothers with the steel workers, from the maritime community. Okay, I see my good friend Augie Tellez here from the seafarers. The Secretary-Treasurer, Dan Duncan, is here from the Maritime Department of the AFL-CIO, and many representatives of the different trades. These are American patriots that they represent, American workers. What does the American worker want? The American worker likes to get to work early in the morning, get home as early as they can, take care of their family, and now we live in a new era where we have shared parenting and so many different challenges. You know, the days of this weekends off and the vacations and all have become basically something that most American workers can only dream of yesterday. Well, we get to solve all these problems with the Bartlett Maritime Plan. America has budget problems. There's no doubt that we've overspent and that it's a bill that's going to get paid later, but yet we still have needs. We have to pay for our infrastructure program, which, as good as it is far from adequate. We still haven't figured out how to connect Main Street fly over country to Main Street. We need high-speed rail. We need so many different things. And this infrastructure plan is not going to do the expansion that we wanted it to do. What it's basically going to be able to do is let us fix and upgrade existing infrastructure. If you look at the Bartlett Maritime Plan and you look at this idea of public partnership, public-private partnership, with very few changes, we can address America's pressing needs, right? Because in essence, what are we doing here? Public, private, getting together, using budgeted monies, right? Navy has budgeted operational monies that it cannot spend because it doesn't have the footprint to perform the work or the workers. The workers in our federal yards, real American heroes, every single one of them, are all scheduled to be working overtime of 10 to 20 hours a week for the next 4 years, just to stay pace and not even put a dent in the backlog. Here is a private company, an amazing team of knowledge. Okay, this is not probably one of the more exciting endeavors in the world, if you don't come from the military. But here they are, as they figured out a way to protect national security, keep the Navy involved in every inch and every aspect, and then at the end of the day, deliver back an asset to the United States Navy and the country, right? It's no different than when you go out and you buy a house and you're going to pay a mortgage over 30 years, okay? That's what's happening. We're floating a mortgage when you think about it. This public-private partnership is floating a mortgage for the United States government for 30 years, giving them total control and run of the facility to protect our national security. And at the end of the day, they're going to get the deed, and they make a decision whether or not to make it a public or a private institution or reshape it to whatever their needs are. But most importantly, let's look at the human aspect. We see what's happening in the Ukraine. We're looking at a country like Russia, okay, who has the GDP of the amount of the size of the state of Texas. And look at the mayhem they're causing in the world. And if you don't think right now the only equalizer that we have out there is their fear, in China's fear of our submarine fleet now, because they don't know where we are. And who knows where we are, which is the beauty of it. We can stay underwater for 18 months. Between our new drone systems and our submarine fleet, we will remain the dominant power in this country. We will control the waterways. But we will not control those waterways if our assets are sidelined for up to 2 and 3 years, like some of our ships, some of our submarine vessels have been. We need to expand the footprint. We're building new submarines every year. They all require maintenance. Over a 30-year life of a submarine, I believe it's like 2 or 3 years is what's factored in for maintenance and, overhaul. We're going into a decade on some of these vessels. It's intolerable. It's not good. And just think, just like in World War II, just like in every conflict that we've ever been involved in, whether it be domestic or international, who's going to come to the rescue but the American worker? The workers of Lorraine and Lordstown are going to be right out there in the forefront. They've been lost in the global economy. They have never recovered, but they love their towns. They're part of the fabric, and they have an amazing amount of skills. The auto industry has taught them well, and they don't want to leave Ohio. That's the most important thing, and why should they have to leave Ohio? This is a plan that's revenue neutral for the government. It's all budgeted. There is no reason not to give the okay to go. It's met every bell and whistle along the way. Now it's time to protect America, protect American security, and do it with American workers. Because when the American worker is strong, America is strong. And when America is strong, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Captain Bartlett and your team, I congratulate you all for this endeavor. Let's get it done.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Well, President Hart said a lot of valuable things there, and the International Chemical Workers Union is very honored and proud to be a part of this and to work together to give those workers in Ohio a hand up rather than a hand out, get them back to work, get put our national security back where it needs to be, and protect our nation. And it's a matter of importance on so many different levels, and just we're looking forward to getting this thing passed so folks can get to work and we can start putting America back where they need to be.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Actually, we are very honored to be here today and be part of this team. We are the builders of this very sophisticated barge. As a Fincantieri Marine Group, we have been in this country now for 14 years. And to the point of my teammates, when we arrived in the Great Lake region, Green Bay, Marinette, Sturgeon Bay, and we bought the little shipyards there, we had a little bit less than 300 people. Today, we are more than 2,700 people. And this is a nice story when you have technology behind you, and we have our main task to support the Navy and the naval world. You can import technology, and you create an ecosystem around the shipyard, which is in terms of know-how of the different people, the different workers, and also all the supply chain around, up to houses, department stores, and everything else you may think about it. It takes a long time to build these ecosystem around, and it's something that is very precious for the country itself. To lose this capability, it takes very little, and when you lose it, to put it together is going to be very painful. So again, we are very happy to be part of this team. We are happy to be in the Midwest. We were very happy to find hard workers there, and with a sophisticated state of mind, ready for this kind of jobs that are not easy to find around. So thank you very much again.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank Ed Bartlett and his team for including the city of Lorain in this press conference today. Again, you may be asking why Lorain, Ohio, and I want you to know that Lorain has a rich history of worldwide impact on sea warfare. We're very proud of our Fleet Admiral Ernest J. King, who was born in the city of Lorain, Ohio in 1878. He graduated fourth in his class at the United States Naval Academy. In the 1920s, he actually served in the submarine service. In World War II, he was named Commander-in-Chief, United States Fleet, and Chief of Naval Operations. But it doesn't just take big guys to win wars and to defend our country. It also takes little guys. And one of those little guys was my uncle, John Rosano, Jr., who served on the USS Indianapolis. And he was 17 years old when his dad signed for him to join the Navy, to be part of the greatest generation who protected our country and got us out of World War II. His ship, as some of you are probably well aware, delivered the parts for the atomic bomb that ended the Second World War. My uncle was lost at sea when the Indianapolis was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine, and I like to think that he saved our country. So not only the big guys like Admiral King, but also the little guys like Seaman Rosano Jr., who helped save our country. And it's going to be the cities like Lorain and Lordstown that are also going to be there to save our country in these trying times. Now, Lorain has a rich shipbuilding history also. The American Shipbuilding Company came to Lorain in 1896, and it became the largest shipyards on the Great Lakes. From 1941 through 1945, during the Second World War, American Shipbuilding Company produced 50 ships. 41 of them were U.S. Navy ships. So we have a history of building military vessels in the city of Lorraine. One of those ships not only served us in the Second World War, but it also served us in the Korean War, and it also served us in the Vietnam War. And that was the USS Surfbird. So, it's time to return the proud heritage to the city of Lorraine. We are not only an ideal location based upon our excellent labor market that we can provide, but also based upon the strategic location of our city on the north coast of America. Now, President Biden came to our little city of Lorain, Ohio, several weeks ago, and he was there to announce the infrastructure bill, but he also said to us, by quoting another one of our Lorraine natives, Toni Morrison, and said that there are better days ahead for the city of Lorain, Ohio. And I think that if this project moves forward, there will be better days ahead for not only the city of Lorain, Ohio, but the great workers that we can produce in our city. So thank you very much for having me here.
Okay. I'm Arno Hill. I'm mayor of the village of Lordstown. You may be wondering, why Lordstown? I was approached by Ed Bartlett here 2019, and he told me what he was proposing to do. And, after General Motors closed, we had a lot of people come in. Everybody had the perfect product to put inside the plant, but nobody came with any financial planning, no set plan. We wanted to see something that was tangible in the village. A rising tide floats all boats. And when Ed came up, and there'd be a couple months when things would go by, and then he and I'd contact again, and then we'd see, hey, where we at? He's put a plan together which I believe will help Northeast Ohio. We have rail, we have road, we have access. This facility won't just be for Lorraine, it'll be a maintenance facility for all the shipyards. And we do have a talented labor force. The Western Reserve Building Trades has been great. We've had a couple projects. Since General Motors has left, we now have Ultium battery cells. There's a big swing to go toward electric. Maybe those batteries may not be just all for vehicles going down the road. They could be for a ship. You don't know. We have electric generation plant, which opened production here, 940 megawatt here a couple of years ago. So we are working to get a brighter future. We lost steel 1977. One time we had several locations for General Electric lighting plants. We don't have any now. It's time that we want to come back. We want to be a big part of it. We could be part of the security as these jobs come. A lot of people, they said, well, hey, my kids had to leave. We've had a lot of people, I've had calls saying, hey, when's this going to happen? TJX Home Goods was brought up as far as having a workforce. They promised us within 5 years we'd have 1,000 jobs there. Less than 2, we have 1,000 jobs. That's huge. 1,100 jobs for Ultium Cells, which is the battery plant. If you don't look forward and try to find something tangible for your community, you're going to wither on the vine and die. Ed's proposed something here, which I've run this past, a couple of my council members, and it was brought up about Lorraine Community College. We also have, once this starts getting a lot of traction, which I believe it will, Eastgate Community College, Kent State, my friend Jim Tressel at Youngstown State. Any businesses which have come in and looked at Northeast Ohio, they all go to the colleges, and the colleges have all said, what can we do to help? The spinoff will be immense. We're looking forward to it at the Village of Lordstown. I'm honored to be here. I appreciate everybody putting this together. And, as you have any questions down the road, feel free to call. I do answer my phone. Thank you.
So I guess now we'll open the floor to questions by the press. Yes?
Not the press, not a question.
Sure.
Thank you. Are we on? Not the press. Augie Tellez, Executive Vice President of Seafarers International Union. First thing, I want to commend you, Captain Bartlett, on not only a critical but a noble plan, and on also putting together this team of serious hitters, as they said. Just want to publicly state that as of today, the Seafarers International Union will add its name to the list of those endorsing your program. I also want to let you know that the Maritime Trades Department will also join. The Maritime Trades has 20 affiliates representing over 5 million workers, and both of us will lend our voice. Although you don't need legislative help, we still have to garner some political will within the administration and elsewhere, and we will lend our voice to President Hartz to help him get this thing over the goal line. So you have that commitment, Jimmy.
Thank you, my
Thank
friend.
you. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. On the right here.
I'm Mark Gruenberg, Press Associates Union. I emphasize the word union, news service. 2 questions, one for our gentleman from Goldman Sachs and the other I guess for you, which is, first of all, how many jobs are we talking about eventually when these 2 plants get built? And second, you mentioned public-private financing. Can you put a dollar figure on it and maybe talk a little bit more about the schedule?
I don't think I'm the right person on the job.
Yes, I'll take the question. To the question of number of employees, our estimate is approximately 3,000 people in Lorraine and 1,000 people in Lordstown. But if you listen to the Chief of Naval Operations recently, he said he wants to grow the submarine force from a size of 47 ships today to 70 ships. So our plan is to create facilities with room to grow in both of them, such that our workforce would grow following that. With regard to how much money we're going to invest in this project, we'll just characterize it as a multi-billion-dollar investment.
How about the timetable? You mentioned phase 1. How about following phases in terms of construction?
Phase 1 is scheduled to take 6 months, which, if we're contracted today, tomorrow, this week, puts us in this fall to have the start of phase 2, which is groundbreaking, ceremonial groundbreaking, and detailed design and construction of the facilities. Our objective is to have the Lordstown facility online, if not completely, at least partially, within 2 years of groundbreaking. And the shipyard is a longer pull, talking in the 3 to 4 year time range. And some of that uncertainty is associated with environmental permitting and other site issues once they're defined. But to characterize this, everybody on our team comes from the operating Navy. We're all about operators. And on a ship, and a number of our folks here are ship captains, there's a term in the Navy term anyways, is a head flank. That means put the engines to the firewall and let it rip. And that's the pace that our project is going, a head flank. We're going to do everything we can without cutting corners, without breaking the rules, to follow all the rules, do everything correctly, but to not waste any time at all. This is such an important problem, and it needs to be solved last week, not 3 years from now. So we're already behind schedule. So there's a sense of urgency among our team. Someone asked recently why people have joined up with this project, and the answer was from another member of our team who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but his answer was, I thought, so ideal. He said, it's not the company or anything else, it's the project, it's the plan, it's the need, it's the vital national need. Many of us are Cold War submarine veterans. We've been through this ourselves. We've been out there on the front lines. We know what it takes, and it takes the ships to be ready to go.
Ed, you commented that it could take 2 years to get Lordstown up and running and 3 years to get the shipyard. But in terms of employment of metal trades, we're going to be talking about major employment by this fall.
Right. And I guess I should point that out. Because we have to have a trained workforce, when we open the facilities. We're going to hire 30 apprentice candidates during phase 1 and provide 16 weeks of welder training, primarily schoolhouse and basic skills. And then our plan, which we still have to finalize with the Navy, but our plan proposal is to send these apprentice candidates now on temporary duty assignments to the public shipyards, which have had some trouble getting staff, getting skilled trade, to supplement the workforce there and to further develop their skills and their experience, such that when they come back to the facilities, when they open, they'll be more experienced. So when we hit phase 2, we'll ramp up our hiring and ramp up our training and ramp up our temporary assignments such that we'll have 1,000, 2,000 people on temporary assignment in various places, learning the skills and honing their skills so that they're ready when we open our shipyard.
Just to expand on Rod's point, I mean, besides your direct employment, you're going to have construction people building all these things. And then once you get up and going, there are ancillary support jobs throughout the country as part of the supply chain that are going to support your operation. So although you have maybe 3,000 direct employees, the impact, economic impact, is going to be throughout the nation, and there's some number, there's some assumption.
We calculated the number, Augie, actually. For those that like that number, it's 41,000.
41,000. Just wanted to make sure you brought that out.
Yes, Jim.
Unwittingly, this project will help America solve its supply chain crisis. Okay, and by building this yard in the location that it's at and shipping parts and creating parts, it's going to put an increased need to develop the Marine Highway. Okay, you know, we operate by truck, we operate by rail, okay, but we don't operate fully near the capacity needed, okay, by our waterways. Okay, what the signal that comes out here is not only a strong national security signal, it's not only a great signal for the workers in Lorraine and Lordstown, but it's a signal to American manufacturers that we can use all our waterways and our byways, coastal, inland, rivers, and start to develop a new supply chain that's impervious to the delays that we're living with today. So there really is, when you think about it, there is a whole big picture, and it's going to take visionaries, such as Captain Bartlett and his team, all right, in other areas of industry. And with the help of the workforce, we're going to illuminate all the possibilities. So it's a very exciting time if you're into problem solving.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Rich Capitan from the Bechtel Corporation. We have been following the SIOP program since September 2018. We fully endorse everything Ed and the Bartlett team has been planning, the shortages in shipyards, availabilities, and those kinds of things. And we're intimately involved currently with the new dry dock project at Pearl Harbor, where it seems the Navy just can't move fast enough. And I'll give you an example. The current schedule right now for a new dry dock at Pearl Harbor is scheduled to finish in about 2028 at about $3 billion to start in 2023. The problem is here, it's now. We think Ed's team, if they can pull this off and get this done faster, it'll be a significant improvement to what the Navy's doing. And we're hoping to be part of this construction project when it comes to fruition. So good job, Ed and team.
Thank you, Rich.
Admiral Frick?
Yeah, one comment, and since I'm the guy that's in charge of planning, we want to build America. We want to build American products. We've worked with Jimmy Hart and the union, the steel, the fasteners, the equipment, the cement. We want it all to be American. And it's in essentially, even though it's Northeast Ohio, it is Central America. It is not on the coast. And this is all about working together to create and give a big shot in the arm to American manufacturing, American products. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that as we order stuff, that it is American. And if it's not American, we're going to go through hell to try to find it.
With no more questions, I guess I'd like to thank everyone for coming and appreciate the commentary and the questions, and look forward to releasing the information on the website as we spoke of earlier. So thank you all, and with that, we'll conclude our session.
Thank you.